presentation with you this morning, and with me is Alex. Alex, why don't you just introduce yourself real quick, and then we'll get rolling.
My name's Alex. I am a senior designer for Gale. I've been in the industry for about 12 years now. I have a master's in architecture and a lead AP degree as well. I started my career in construction litigation, and now I'm in the design of forensics.
We appreciate the opportunity to present to the conference. We've had that opportunity a couple times before, and we don't take it lightly, so we really enjoy it. And I'm from Orlando, so welcome to Orlando. In this presentation, we have 4 learning objectives we want to try to achieve here this morning. Number 1 is we're going to go over prioritizing repair versus replacement, how what you want to do, which level should that be, how to prioritize that. Based on visual evaluations, limited type of destructive testing, any type of leak testing, based on the age of the roof, your repair histories, and the usage of the interior space. Learning objective number 2, be able to easily update reports with new repair histories for your roof management plan, along with roof warranties as well. And number 3, evaluate existing roofs, associated components, such as rising walls, parapets, roof penetrations, drainage, etc. And then the last learning objective we want to try to cover here is to be able to develop budget estimates that can be used for yearly planning on a 5 or 10 year basis. So that's what we're going to try to cover this morning. What are the goals for a roof maintenance plan? What should it try to achieve for you? Number 1, extend the service life of all of your existing roofs, because you want to extend the life as long as possible. Prioritize the repairs. Like I say, you're always having ongoing maintenance and repairs on the roof system, but you have to prioritize those repairs versus replacement. And establish a budget. Many of you have multiple facilities, so you can't hit everything at one time. So you want to establish a plan, a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan to manage your roof assets. And to be able to retain your warranty coverage. And Alex will go in that a little bit in depth there. How do you retain that coverage on your roofing systems, those that you've had warranties on? And a roof management plan begins not only after construction, but it actually begins in the design, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And then obviously construction and the maintenance aspect of it. So why establish that roof management plan in the first place? Well, because first of all, we know roofs can cost you a lot of money in your budgets. You have to maintain not only your roofs, but other parts of the facilities that you have to look after. And we've seen lately that roofing replacement costs can be anywhere from $30 to $35 a square foot. And that's really shot up since I've been in the industry, for sure. So if you look at that, it becomes very costly to replace your roofs. So you need to try to maintain them, and how do you do that? What are some of the things that can increase the cost on replacing or maintaining a roof? What can affect the cost? Well, access can affect the cost. If you have a lot of multiple facilities with multiple stories, you have a lot of roof areas that are hard to access. What are the work hours that contractors can get up there and do the work? That'll affect the cost. Are there any safety concerns? Do you have to put a swing state? Do you have to put safety harness, any type of PPE that they have to wear up there, because that can increase the cost as well. You have to incorporate that into your roof management plan. The size of the roofs, are they small or are they very, very large square footage? You have any odors and fumes. I know a lot of educational facilities have these labs and different things, and you have fumes and different things that are up on the roof that get exhausted there, and you have to incorporate that into your planning as well. It can increase the cost for contractors to do work there. Are the roof areas congested? Are you going to have any interruptions through operations that are ongoing in the facility? All this information can get put in a roof management plan to help you plan that 5 to 10 year range. Are there any non-roof issues? A lot of times you go up on your roof and you're trying to chase a leak, and it's something that's happening on the wall system that's causing it, or it's a window that's causing it. So again, you factor a lot of that into it as well. Here's one of those examples of access. Here's a large facility, multi stories, and you look at all the roof levels that you have going on there that you have to maintain on all these roofs, and you got a lot of equipment on these roofs as well. You have to incorporate all of that into your planning and your long-range planning for when it's time to do repairs or replacement. That says safety can escalate the cost as well, even though this is a concrete roof area here. You know, you can put he's still working with a torch, and he's going to probably put some coating or something there and do some wall repairs. But then that's a very big safety concern. That's where we got the tie-offs here, and that's one little small area. If you have multiple areas like that around your buildings, that's going to increase your costs, obviously, and you have to plan for that. So budget allocation is very important. So as you as facility managers, we know you understand the pressure to spend wisely. And you only have a certain budget, so you got to spend that the best way you can and to maintain the facilities. And oftentimes, like I said, there are unanticipated expenditures that can occur that'll just blow your budget out of the window. And let's look at some of those. You know, we have high wind events. You have weather events. And like I say, I'm here from Orlando. In Florida, we have hurricanes that come, hurricane season all the time. And now we're seeing hurricanes go all the way up to the Northeast. The one this year went all the way to Maine and hit Maine and went on into Canada. So we're starting to get some strange weather patterns that happen that we're not used to, and it's affecting a lot of the facility owners because a lot of the roofs in the Northeast sometimes are not designed for really high winds like that, like in the Southeast region. So you could easily have a storm come through, and now your costs just, you know, you weren't planning to do anything on that roof this year, but your cost just went through because it went through the roof, basically, no pun intended. But because of that, now you have to address it. Here's another concern, same thing with if a weather event happens. If you don't maintain it, heavy rains comes, and we see one problem on this roof, this drain's clogged. This drain's clogged. If you don't go up there and maintain that, this one or two drains here can cause you major problems. You say, well, how is that? Well, we say we got 2 inches of water here, right? We got 2 inches of water, and just in this 10 by 10 area that we're looking at right here, that's 1,000 pounds loaded on your roof now. Who's in trouble on this roof right now? That guy right there. You got 1,000 pounds right there just in that area. That can happen. That can easily happen. We've seen it numerous times when roofs aren't maintained and you haven't done the right thing on those, and debris starts to fill up around those. You get collapsed, and it can be catastrophic. Now, as it relates to extending the service life of the roof on the roof management plan, Alex is going to share a little bit of information for you here.
Thank you, Tony. Good morning, everybody. Let's talk about extending service life, stay ahead of repairs so deficiencies don't leak. So deficiencies or leaks do not go unaddressed. So we put this slide in here because it's a very, very common detail that we see, and especially during the time of roof replacement, or sometimes some of these are coming up new. Some manufacturers still use this. We do not. The idea behind this is one large penetration going through the roof. You have multiple penetrations going through that, and then you put a pourable sealer in there and everything is nice and tight. It's a great idea. It doesn't really work. You have multiple, you have like a copper line there, which has a different thermal property along with the Freon line, along with the electrical line. All those things are moving along with the heat that is baking that. So you have that pourable sealant moving and contracting, getting brittle. Those arrows are pointing to the holes that we found. So every time it rained, that water would collect and get into those holes. You can see here below the deck, the pipes coming down, that water, it's tracing those pipes and causing that deck to rust. This is a sub deck. It was out of sight, out of mind, and it was a significant amount of damage once we found it. So reducing interruptions for operations. Obviously, if you look at this space, maintenance guy came in, he put a trash can there, it was working great. He couldn't figure out exactly where the leak was, so very cleverly, he went ahead and put a plastic bag to funnel all the water in. That's 2 interruptions right there. But if you go to look a little further, you can see that the water was actually occurring over a bookshelf area. So you had damage to books, you have a damage to shelves, all that compounded and caused property damage. Maintain assets, value of warranted roofs. So let's look at what you're in charge of, right? You're looking at 94 buildings, let's just say, 282 roof areas. That's about 1.2 million square feet of roof. An average age of a roof, you're looking at 18.38. That's an average, that's a pretty specific number, but it's a give or take. At an average cost of $30 per square foot, you're talking about $36 million. That's what you guys are in charge of, $36 million. So how do you maintain that? How are you supposed to keep your eye on that all-encompassing roof area so that it doesn't come crashing down all at once? Maintenance versus neglect. Obviously, you see a roof drain here that has been neglected. You can see that all the vegetative growth has grown around it, but it may not be causing problems. If you're not up there, you're not looking at it. So out of sight, out of mind. This is a very typical idea that we have. It's not leaking on the inside. There's no problems. Here's the problem. You've got UV degradation. Anything that is highly refined, your roof system, your sealant, any kind of refined asphalts are going to degrade over the UV. That's your number one cause of a roof failure. Then you have wind and snow. So not only are you taking extreme heats on the roof, you're also taking extreme cold. That roof is it has a very high demand to stay watertight. New equipment. You've got a new facility. You have to reassign that area. Now you got to put in some venting. You got to put in a mini split. HVAC guys are synonymous for this. They'll go up on that roof, and their job is to make everything work. They really don't care what your roof is. Whatever penetration they made, they're going to seal it with whatever caulk they have available from the last job. They come up with screwdrivers, they drop them, causing holes all the time. They're up there with their R10, R410, or whatever it is. Their chemicals are up there and they spill them. They may wipe it up, but that is actually causing damage on the roof with the sun baking and it sitting there. So let's look at a case study, 1996, right? You're looking at an infrared, 65,000 square feet of roof. You've got these small roof areas, 1,155 square feet of wet insulation. So the cost to repair that, $17,300. Okay, you defer that because it's not very visible. You're like, oh, I'll get to it. 3 years later, that has gone up to 6,160 square feet. Now your cost is $92,300. That's almost 5 times, actually a little more than 5 times the original cost, right? You say, okay, well, hold on. Let's just, we'll get to it. It's on the list. We need to get some other stuff first. Now you've gone even further. Now you're at 27,000 square feet, and it's a $400,000 job. But if you look at this, percentage-wise, now you're almost seeing 50-50, right? The code doesn't allow for you to patch your roof endlessly. There is actually a percentage that once you cross that threshold, you have to replace the entire roof. So what happens? Everything gets wet, right? You leave it alone, everything's wet. Now the roof replacement is almost at $1 million. And that's in 2004. So you're looking at 8-9 years. You've cut the life of your roof virtually in half there. But I have a warranty. Okay, so warranted roofs will last under normal conditions with periodic maintenance. I don't even know what that means. That's a very vague term. It's not all inclusive. So the manufacturer is going to say, okay, yeah, that's our roof. We will pay for the materials. You guys have to pay for the labor to put it up there. And then they'll only cover the leak. So you've got a small hole. They say, oh, well, that's 1 square foot. We'll patch that. Meanwhile, you're walking around that hole and you can feel all the insulation wet. You've compromised the integrity of the roof at that point. The R values drop down. The wind uplift has gone down. So, but the manufacturer is only in charge of covering his product. Point is, that warranty is easily voided. So let's look at a warranty, a sample warranty, right? Carlisle recommends periodic roof system evaluations to ensure the roofing system is performing as intended. We suggest regular maintenance, there's that word again, inspections be conducted by Carlisle's authorized roofing applicator or someone specially trained in the single-ply roofing installation. Now we're getting a little more specific. Now they're coming in saying, okay, hold on a second. If you're going to go up on that roof, this is what we want. Now let's keep going. However, even the most rigorous review, roofing systems can be damaged by flying debris, other trades, servicing the rooftop equipment, etc. Regardless of how the damage occurs, it's important to understand how to protect. So they're acknowledging that there are other things that are going to happen that we may look for to void the warranty on that roof. They're giving you a heads up, right? Paragraph 4A of Carlisle Roofing System warranty states, this warranty shall be null and void after any installation of a Carlisle roofing system by a Carlisle authorized roofing applicator. There are any alterations or repairs made on or through the roof or objects such as, but not limited to, structures, fixtures, utilities placed or attached to the roof, right? So all those things are going to void the warranty. So what's the point? That warranty is only as good as that piece of paper it's written on. It should be a last resort. This is obviously a very exaggerated roof area, so you can see that the water's pooled up there and caused a lot of vegetative growth. That vegetative growth has actually gone into the roots have gone into the roof system and destroyed that roof area. Lack of maintenance, gutters get clogged up. Where's that water going to go? It's going to go to the sides. So it'll flow out one way. The other side is where your building is. Where that gutter is attached, all those holes, it's penetrating right through there. It's causing damage every time it rains. So this is a mod bit system, very common commercial system, right? Coincidentally, a mod bit system has rocks. Rocks are a natural element. It is not a refined element, right? Those rocks, which we call granules, are what's protecting your roof. So if you go around the drain, you'll see granules around the drain on a mod bit system. It's very normal. However, if it happens very early, then you have an early granular loss. So you have to identify that. In this case, you can see that that granular loss has caused that seam to open up. Coincidentally, it's on the downslope of that roof, so every time the water came in, it would start opening that seam up further. So you can't keep that out of sight, out of mind. You have to look at this stuff. You look at an EPDM roof. If you go up to that roof and you look at it, because you don't want to step on it, it's hot, right? You're just looking for a clean roof. If it's clean, it's working great, right? Wrong. So on a EPDM roof, the seams will come undone very easily. If you're not up there shuffling around, moving stuff to see how things move, you're not going to be able to identify this. Our in-house staff maintains the roof and takes care of the roof, as we saw. That requires special training, materials, and equipment, right? So a single-ply roof, you're going to need a hot welder, right? But your maintenance staff has leftover silicone. They're going to use that. Silicone works for everything, right? Repairs can compound the problem. So your maintenance guy goes up there, puts silicone on it, and it seems to be working until it doesn't. And then what do? You go up there and you try to put something else on. Even silicone, guess what? It doesn't stick to silicone. Silicone is, that's it. Once you put it on, nothing else will stick to it. Now you have to take all that off, clean it properly in order for it to stick on there. Contractors may not be approved by the manufacturer. So the wrong materials, like I said, silicone, once you put that on there, you voided the warranty. Can anybody tell me what's wrong with this image? I'll give you a hint. The arrow is pointing to it. All right, so I'll just tell you. So we have a client that has a mod bit roof system, and they decided to come in and say, we want a single ply system. Well, the mod bit and the single ply don't go together. They cannot touch. The second it touches, that chemical reaction starts. The contractor, we caught the contractor doing this, our detail actually has it separated. This is a very specific design. And he said, well, it's going to all be covered up anyway, so it's not going to matter. No. The second that gets touched, that chemical starts changing this plasticizers in there. It becomes brittle. It becomes stiff. It reduces the life of your roof. It'll start staining that roof. And then within a few, maybe I'd say probably within a year or so, you're going to start having issues. You're going to start seeing it. They're going to go up there and go, what's going on here? What happened to our white roof? So point is, those chemicals can't touch. You have to be able to identify that kind of stuff. Wrong materials, very common. Well, this peel and stick, this is what they used on the roof last time. We have some leftover. Let's go ahead and put that on there. That works for the roof because that's leftover stock. Did you clean that area properly? Probably not. So that's why those pens are stuck in there because, well, it's not sticking. Temporary repairs, again, whatever you have in the caulk gun, let's pull the screw out and just get it up there and see if it works temporarily. You forget about it and it starts falling apart again. Yep, I'll pass this over to Tony now.
Thanks, Alex. Now that we've kind of gone over a lot of things that can go wrong with a roof, let's see how we can maintain that and manage that with a roof management plan to try to keep a handle on it. So initiation of the roof management plan. First thing you got to do, as facility owners, if you're going to start doing something like this, these are the things that have to go into that. You have to be able to compile enough data because what we have nowadays, Back in the day, we used to have books that we get our maintenance reports, and we get all this information. We put it in 3-ring binders, and we put it up on the shelf, and we go back and forth with it, right? The technology has changed so fast, everything's kind of done electronically. You got computer programs, you have cloud-based programs, and software that allows you to take all of that data and input that into the programs, and it assists you with organizing all of the data that you have. So basically, you still have to compile all the data that you can on your roofing systems, any plans, any specifications, any warranties, any, like I say, repair records that you might have. All of that needs to be compiled so it can get input into the roof management plan. One of the other things you do when you're implementing this plan or creating this plan, you have to go throughout your facilities and do what we call a leak audit. You go in and you do this leak audit, and your maintenance records are going to really help you with that because you get calls on leaks. So you start doing these leak audits in the facility, and you can see where I got issues here, I have issues here, and you document that. You're trying to gather as much information as possible to input into the roof management plan. You have to perform those evaluations on the roof. I got to get out there and you got to look at it. You have to note any defects like we just showed in some of those issues that we saw in the slides that were problematic. You have to note those, take pictures of those, note that information, do building measure-ups. Get roof plans started, start generating some of those things so you can get into the program as well. And then a good roof management plan, once you gather all this data, you can prepare what we call a condition report for each building. And you develop a rating system. A rating system, you can do it from 1 to 10, from 1 being very poor, 10 being good, or whatever. You can do it 1 to 100, whatever rating system you decide to establish, even on a percentage basis, 10% or whatever. Good, fair, bad, whatever. But you create a rating system now, and you start sorting out your roofing systems and roof areas in some sort of hierarchy. And then like I said earlier, there's interactive online documentation. There are many programs out there that you can utilize to input this data in. So you start considering what you might want to use to do that. This little slide I put in here because there's a systematic approach to gathering all that data. Again, you want to define the scope of the evaluation, identify your areas you're going to be working on, what roof area you're going to be working on, organize your information, and then some cases there may be some testing that you have to do. It could be destructive or non-destructive, and we'll talk about that in a second. But you got to do your field measure-ups when you're doing your inspections. Document those existing conditions. And I mentioned testing already. We'll get into that. And then you might have to even take some samples. Here's just an example of a leak audit. You just go in, basically, we like to use extreme cases, but these are things that you see. But you see there's been an issue there. Tiles have been removed. And I know many of you have seen that in your facilities numerous times. But you have tiles that are removed, so you have to document all of that information into the program with the leak audit. The visual, we went over that just enough with Alex on that, some of the issues that you find, pinholes in single ply, EPDM fasteners backing out, bulging. We talked about ponding, open seams. And one of those things on the modified bitumen, those of you might have modified bitumen on your roofing systems, things you should probably, Alex mentioned about the granules washing off. One of the things we talked about early on in the slide was that UV affects your roofing systems, especially on asphalt products. If the granules are washing off, and you remember that slide where the seam was open up and the granules had washed off, the UV is going to attack that like crazy, and it's going to start affecting your roofing system. If you're not up there maintaining that, you're just asking for trouble for water to get into the system and then eventually into the building. And the visual evaluation might bring up some of these areas that we talked about. It may not just be the roof. It could be wall flashings, through-wall flashings. Sometimes you go and you do maintenance on those through-wall flashings, and we know brick is porous. And typically, if it's not a historic building with a mass masonry wall, you have a brick veneer on there. And that brick veneer has through-wall flashing, has weep holes coming out. I can't tell you how many times maintenance staff has come in and sealed up the weep holes with caulk. And you got a problem. So keep in mind of things like that. Defect identification again. Let's go back here. We see, again, that's where your granules have washed off and around them equipment, because a lot of times maintenance personnel or equipment personnel come around there and they're doing a lot of work and they just scarify your roof, basically. If you got a lot of excessive patching, you got something going on. Just something as simple as this little opening right here on the corner of mechanical equipment. You'd be surprised how much water can actually get into that little opening. And we talked about vegetation. Now, this is I really wanted to point out. This was an area you got up here at night because remember I said there were sometimes you have constraints when you can access things, the operations going on. So you had to get up here at nighttime and says, well, it looks good to me. Everything looks great. The lights were on, had the floodlights going. I said, well, let's turn the lights down a little bit. That's the next picture, same night. A ton of things going on. So you'd be surprised at what's happening below there. So there's a lot of moisture coming up out of that roofing system. And we're talking a clogged drain. Transitions are notorious. You want to document all of that. All of this information gets put into the management plan. The transitions from roof to wall, from wall to curtain wall, all of those things you want to put into this plan. Now, what are some of the other additional things you might want to incorporate in a roof management plan? I thought non-destructive or destructive testing. To determine when you went through and you did that leak audit and you say, hey, we got some issues going here, but we really can't locate it. We can't figure out what it is. Well, do some testing. Do some leak testing. Take a hose out, come in, try to recreate it. Now you can properly fix whatever the issue is. Do some infrared. Infrared, I want to remind you, infrared does not tell you that the area, it doesn't indicate moisture like everybody think it does. It indicates a differential of heat. That's what infrared does. There's a difference. So what happens is water retains that heat a little longer as the day goes on. It heats up during the day, and then right in the evening times, if you know the infrared is taking a lot at nighttime. So when nightfall hits, that water is retaining that heat longer, so the infrared picks it up. So that's how you're able to determine if moisture is there. So don't think, hey, there's moisture, it tells me where water is. No, it tells you that, yes, it does in so many ways, but it's a heat differential. Destructive testing is just what it is. Sometimes you guys got to go there and just got to cut it open and tear it apart just to see what's going on. So what are some of the tests? What's the whole purpose behind testing to get into your roof management plan? Your objectives are to verify what you've looked at. You've done the visual evaluation. Now you got to verify if this is correct or not. Did I chase down the right thing? So you correlate your testing with your observed damages that you looked at visually. You can recreate or trace the leak, say with the leak testing, or infrared, and you can determine locations if you want to do some destructive testing. Now, in this roof management plan with the condition reports, you say you got all this information. We're just gathering as much information as possible. What now do you need to put in this report? You need to know, need to have the roof description, break it down by, here's building 100. Building 100 might have several roof areas. Here's building 100, roof area A. Building 100, roof area C, et cetera. So now you're sorting out your roof areas in the plan, so on a roof plan, so you can determine and designate, identify them a little bit better. What's the configuration? How many stories is this roof up? You're going to get all that information in. What are the observed defects that I saw? Did I see any base flashing open on building 100 roof area A? I'm going to note that in my roof management plan. Where is it located again? The quantities of this defects. Did I see a lot of ponding? If I did, what's the square footage of that ponding? Did I see base flashings open? How many, what linear feet of base flashing? How many? What's the quantity of it? Did I see clogged drains? How many clogged drains did I see on roof area A? You're going to get all of that information in the roof management plan. And you keep hearing me say get as much data as possible because I'm going to show you some snippets from a electronic program that takes all of that data and spits it out for you, and you go, wow, where has this been all my life? So you get all that information, and then you summarize, because the human aspect of summarizing the opinions, what you think is going on that you found up there, and you put your opinions in that report as well. Should I repair this? Should I replace this? What's going to constitute repairing? What's going to constitute replacing? The severity of it is what's going to constitute that. And then not only does that occur, you'll be able to put in values of the estimated cost for repair. What's the estimated cost for repair for a base flashing? $1 a base, or $5 a base flashing or seam. What's the cost for replacing some insulation? You look at whatever the cost, $12 for so many square feet, whatever the case may be. You put those numbers into the roof management plan, and now you're starting to create a budget. That's what happens. And like I said, roof area plans, they're like golden. I always say a picture's worth 1,000 words. So if you can get that documented on a roof plan, here's an example of something you could do. You just, a little simple sketch of a roof plan. And what this shows here are little indicators of issues that you saw on the roof. So now you're getting a visual of these issues that you found. This OBF, I don't think you can see it, but it says OBF. It says open base flashing. That's what the program says. It's open base flashing, and you have one of those. And so you've documented that, you get that into the program, and now you've gone through building 100, 200, 300, and the program says, okay, I have open base flashing. My total is about 30 of those. Calculates the replacement cost or repair cost for that, and now you start seeing what the severity, if it's only one on roof area A, it's not, and that's the only thing you found, roof area A is not going to be a high priority for roof replacement or anything like that. It's just a minor repair, right? You do that, and guess what? You just extended the life expectancy of roof area A. So that's kind of what gathering all that information, why it's so important. Something as simple as that little opening here, and again, here's a roof defect legend here. Again, this is open torn membrane, open membrane, and then this number here, like I said, will indicate the quantity or the square footage or the linear footage. Same here, just a corner, base flashing. Those of you up in the northern regions that utilize slate and different things, but you can do the same thing with shingles. It works for every type of roof substance that's out there. So now that we know we have beat home the fact that you have to have as much documentation as possible, let's develop that plan then. We said the age of the roof, find the history of the roof, get that in there, the leak history, interior space usage, what it's been used for. This all is going to affect the priority for replacement on these roofs or repairs. Visual evaluation is going to affect that. And the biggest thing that I've always seen, and you guys as well, is owner input. What better person to tell you what's going on the roof than the person that's in that building, right? They're in that building all the time, and they're definitely going to let you know, hey, I got a problem in room 100. Such and such, it's been leaking like crazy. You know, every time it rains, every time this, and you get these callbacks, or whatever. Then you start to realize, hey, we got something going on here. Let's make sure we just evaluate this. So owner input is really key. And a lot of that typically happens on the front end. That's one of the first things. They say we do a leak audit. When you do that leak audit, go inside looking for leaks. You talk to the occupants as well to see so you can get a little bit more history as well. So if you do have something that you have to repair, you got to remember, there's a lot of things you have to consider when doing that. Obviously, like I say, wind pressure, if you're doing a roof replacement, these are all things that get incorporated into designing a roof. Any of the thermal values, how much insulation you got to put, et cetera. Drainage capacities, are you going to meet that? A lot of the older facilities are really not up to code when it comes to drainage, especially secondary drainage when it comes to overflow scuppers and things of that nature. Do you have the right capacities for those? Snow loads up in the northern regions, vapor drive, all of these things go into replacing a roof and maintaining a roof. We talked about the age of the roof, what's the repair history. You see a lot of repairs. We talked about before that we saw on a single ply had a lot of patches that were done there. That means that something's going on, starting to reach the end of its service life. And a leak history. And this is something, again, where I say the roof plan is very important. If you can sketch something out, and sometimes you have the architectural plans that you have access to, and you have to utilize those into your plan. And this is a good example of that. An architectural plan that's been used, you got the maintenance staff going up there, and they're saying, these are all the places that we've located leaks around the perimeter of this particular facility. So now you're documenting that, and you get, again, that picture's worth 1,000 words. You're going to say, whoa, this might have to move up in the priority for replacement now. When before you were kind of like, well, we've had a few callbacks here, yeah, but now that you've documented and you see it, you say, well, we might have to move that up a little bit. The interior space usage might just say, you know, because, hey, they're doing research at this university and they're studying stem cells and they're studying cancer research and they got some leaks going on in there. Man, we better take care of this now. That pushes it up to the forefront quickly as well. See, these are all considerations you have to take, and the roof management plan will help you incorporate that type of usage information when it spits out that prioritization of what needs to come and when it needs to happen. again, a repeat of some of the visual evaluation and noting your defects. And you can note those however you like. This is just one way to note issues on the roof. I told you with open seams and different things like that. But the program also, not the program, but numerous programs for roof management plans that are software-based allow you to put photographs in there as well. And we'll show you that a little bit here. So here's an example of a plan where an owner says, you know what, we don't have those architectural plans. This building's been here a long time. We don't have those architectural plans. But we have a good friend called Google Earth Pro. So you take a Google Earth Pro image, and now you start documenting the same thing that you did on that roof plan. You have so many resources at your disposal that you could utilize to help with the roof maintenance plan. And now you're getting this documentation electronically done. Again, picture's worth 1,000 words. There were some ponding issues going on right there. There were some issues right there. You can give that to maintenance staff right away. Say, hey, number 46, and you had a legend what 48, 46 was, and they can go right to it. They can go right to it and make the repairs, or a contractor can make the repairs. Now, here's a snippet from one of the roof management programs. Here's a little snippet. I wish that was a little bit larger. But here's an area where you can put the photographs in, and what it says here, the photograph comes in and it says, photo of blistering. And it was looked at on 7/1/2022. Program has that in there. You input that information into a roof management plan. The second one says photo of existing ponding water. And it says when that was documented, what maintenance staff, whoever input that into the program. And it goes on to list other issues that were noted. And then it goes over here and it says, well, that was one location, that's when it was found. And this says it was 46 locations that were found on the roof. So you have all of that data input into the system now for this plan, this roof management plan, to help you assess what needs to be done and when it needs to be done. I talked about owner input and how important that was. So again, you sit down and talk with the owner and make sure that you're on track. Now, what the plan will do, what you should do in your plan, once you've come in and you've gotten all that data, you say, well, now I have to prioritize my list. When should I do what, right? You created a prioritization legend or values. You've got the building name, you've got the year it was built, the roof age, the square footage, if there are any hazardous materials, asbestos in the membrane, asbestos in the flashings, or anything like that. You've got that in there. Now you've developed a long-term building plan for the facility, not just one roof area, but for the entire facility. You say, well, here's an example. Is it immediate? Anything immediate from 0 to 3 years, I have to do something with. So you've had the program do it that way. It says, okay, my next scale is going to be anything from 3 to 5 years is going to be near term. And 5 to 10 years is long term. Remember the thousands of dollars of budget that you showed for the cost of the roof replacement. Now, that was a tall order to jump to try to do a lot with. The program's now telling you, wait a minute, that budget you have, we can stretch that budget out. We can tell you each year what your budget's going to be, and we can stretch it out over 5 or 10 years. And we'll tell you, and software will tell you what's the severity, when you should do it, what's anticipated. If you make repairs, guess what? It comes off the list. And there's just so many ways that software can manipulate and work for you. And then it helps you with the scheduling as well as budgetary costs. Picture's worth 1,000 words again. Something like this. You got your roof areas. This one says, everything in red is high priority. Remember we said that was 0 to 3? Immediate, you got to get it done. So now you know the areas, you know the square footage, and the areas in green, those are mid priority. I'm sorry, the orange is mid priority, and then in green is low priority. Again, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Can you imagine taking something like this with the values, the budget numbers, and everything to the bean counters who never want to give you the money anyway, right? And you take it to them and you go say, this is what I need for my fiscal year 2004. And it's right there. It's just plain as day for it. And they can't dispute it because you've done your legwork. You've presented them with what they like to see, numbers and data, and it's easier to get your funding. Here's an example, another indicator that comes from different softwares. Here's your immediate action recommendations. You got all these roof areas, all these building areas here. and it gives you the totals, and you could even put in contingencies and profit. The contractor has to make profit. You have to put all of those things in because your budget has a account for that, not just the replacement. You got to account for all of those other things. Remember we talked about the unforeseen stuff too, when the weather events and all of those. So you'll be able to put a contingency in as well, and you get that, and it crunches the numbers and stuff for you, and that helps with the prioritization as well. So you have a budget matrix. Detailed cost breakdown for every area. And again, you send this to the accounting department or whoever does the funding, and it's much easier. And I can say it is because I've seen it happen. I was like, wow. And then people have said, well, that's the best thing we could have done. Here's another snippet. When you put all the data that you collected, commercial roofing, broken down by roof areas, what type of systems, you can even put in that. Thermoplastic system, is it a mod bit, is it an EPDM, is it metal roofing, is it whatever the type is. I remember I keep saying it over and over again, the data is important. You get the data into that, any type of software like that. And even to the point of saying, when does the warranty end on roofs that I have? You track all of that as well. Because as Alex talked about, manufacturers want to get out of warranties in a heartbeat. They just don't want to pay. And I know that for a fact from being in Florida. They do not want to play. Hurricane comes, they say, well, when was the last time you did your annual inspection? Owner comes back and says, well, I didn't. And say, well, there's no warranty. They'll come out, they'll stop quickly. So you know when your warranty is going to be out, you know how to maintain it. Talks about the square footage and your projected costs for any repairs or replacement. Here's one, there's nothing going on, so it's zero. So you can see the values already. So let's say for in the first year, you're looking at $7,000 of repairs. You know that right off the bat. That's what a roof management plan can do for you. Here's another snippet for some information that once you've gathered that it spits out for you. Let's see. Let's go to this side here. It says this kind of unfolks, but it says construction components. What's the components of my roof? We have primary drainage on there. We have surfacing. There's a concrete deck. We have membrane that's EPDM and is ballasted. The deck is a concrete, like we said. You have drains, none of that, so all that's X. But you can put all of that data in there. And once you do it once, you're done. One other screen here. I talked about putting photographs in there, photographs documenting the information that you have, and just you can manipulate data as much as possible. So the roof management program begins, like I said, at the design stage. It doesn't begin just once the roof's put in. You have to design for the drainage, the codes, the thermal, appropriate wind uplift, and all of those things. Low slope roofing options you have, we mentioned all those different systems that were there, single ply thermoplastic, built up, modified, even fluid applied systems now. You can put that information in programs as well. So you have to understand, would you use the same type of roofs on both of these buildings? You got a lot of equipment going on here, but you don't want to put a single ply roofing on that here. You want something more robust because maintenance and HVAC and mechanical upgrade, maintenance has to happen around those areas. Again, this is just the types of roofing systems that are out there that you can put into the programs that are out there, single ply. Gravel surface, built-up roof, modified bitumen, as we talked about, the granular surface. Roof management plans, why again? Because it can extend the service life of your roof. If you're doing that and you're documenting all this stuff, that 20-year roof could probably last you 30 years. You see what I'm saying? If you're maintaining it properly and you got a handle on it. That's probably the toughest thing to maintain. An example here, 27 buildings, 183 roof areas, 390,000 square feet of roofing you got to try to maintain. That's quite a bit. We showed something similar to this already, just show pictures worth 1,000 words, the severity of these, medical facility, access could be a problem here, but that's a lot of square feet of roofing. It shows here again, the blue areas, looks like the blue areas are the main buildings that require, that's their priority list basically, I'm sorry. So the ultimate goal is to achieve the maximum service life with the least possible cost, right? You got to extend the roof and do it with the least possible cost. And Alex will close out and finish up this, and we'll be done here shortly.
So great. Now you've done everything that we've told you to, and everything's going to work out perfectly, right? So let's just look at a case study real quick because I know we're running out of time. This was a facility that we did with multiple schools, went ahead and inputted all that information. You can see all the different schools on the right-hand side. We came in and figured out how much the cost of everything is, extending everything out to make sure we get the maximum dollar for everything, and this is what you get. Great. So in 2021, you need about $2 million, but in 2024, you need $12 million. Well, that's not feasible. So that program now, the good thing is you've done all the work on the front end. So now you can start shifting those numbers around based on the priority that you've assigned to it, right? So you're going in, you're reanalyzing, moving that around based on the priority, and then you're able to balance those numbers out. We've done this several times, multiple clients. It happens. This is how we start balancing it. Now it becomes much more manageable. Those emergency repairs are no longer going to blow your budget. They become manageable at that point. This is just another screenshot, just kind of showing you a whole macro view. This is showing some of those defects, and it cranks out a report so that you can give it to your maintenance staff. That report will actually tell them, suggest it on what needs to be repaired and how to repair it, so they're not bringing a hammer versus a screwdriver.
Go back to that graph, the other graphs, if you would, please. Really quick, go to the, yes, that first one. Now, if you look at this graph, you've gone through and got all your data in, right? And it spits out the priorities first and et cetera. And you see you got like $12 million in year 2024. Who has a $12 million budget to work on their roofs? Nobody does, right? You can't do that. So you go to the next one. So you go back into the program, you talk to the personnel, you analyze the data a little bit more in the next one. And you say, okay, let's see how we can spread this out over these 13 years a little better and really fine tune our budgets. So now in 2024, you're at 4 versus 12 because you spread it out over that time period. That's how you can help. That's how the maintenance plan can help you maintain and keep you on track and stay within budgets. Because like I say, that $12 million, they're not giving you that every year to say, hey, this is just for your roofs. Well, I got other stuff I got to look after, right? So that gives you an idea.
Thank you for the clarity. Yeah. This is going into, once we put in that system, we actually can go down to the nitty-gritty of each individual roof area. It shows the action items there. We have photos associated, drawings, warranties, and other documents. This is showing how to bring up that document of the warranty. You have the previous warranty, you have the new warranty. Again, all that has been inputted into the system. The repairs that occur are actually documented. Now you actually have a case and you have documentation, you have a case for the manufacturer to honor their warranty because you have maintained it and you have all records, you have photographs associated with it, and it maintains all of it, right? So the benefits of an roof management program, it allows for long-term budgeting of roof replacement. I won't say it eliminates, it manages the emergency cost, right? So you're always gonna have emergencies, but suddenly that emergency is not gonna blow your budget. So you can even everything out. It extends the service life of the roof system. It maintains the assets, the original $36 million, so you're not pushing that down. It reduces interruptions that occur within the leaks, and ultimately it saves money. Anything else, Ted?
And thank you, Alex. And as Alex says, these are all your benefits of doing something like this. This can be done in-house. You can have it done by outside personnel, professionals as well, but it is something that you really should start looking into to help you maintain and manage, especially when you have large facilities that you're over. And it works with small facilities too, but just having that information, especially now, like I say, with the technology, you get all of that information incorporated into a software, it's golden. It's just like AI now. AI is helping you you do your job because you're just retrieving that data and it's helping you with the budgets and everything else and the prioritization. So that's what we wanted to talk about this morning, implementing a roof management plan. There's so much in this topic that we can go really, really deep into. Obviously, we just 1 hour just doesn't do it for you, but even to the point of trying to go into different software and do that. But what I do recommend, there's software online. You can just type in roof management plan software, et cetera, and Google will bring you some stuff up. And I think this one of these we were just sharing with, it was called Beam Advantage, and there's one out called Roof Pro, and there's some other things out there. But it helps you get started on that. And you get all that existed documentation that you have, you just get that information in there. So we thank you for attending our session this morning. If you have any questions, we're open that up right now. Come on, we don't have any. We didn't do that good, did we? Come, I see one right back there.
What is the cost associated with some of those software programs, especially when you're in like a public entity where asking for money for software is virtually impossible?
Good question. That has actually been the case where most of these that have been done have been with public entities actually, and that I'm aware of. And the cost that I've seen is sort of like it's on twofold, depending on if you're doing it yourself versus if you're doing something. You have an outside. Obviously, if you're doing outside persons that are doing it, you're probably talking about the software itself. I would say, what was the cost I think it's probably like $3,000-4,000, something like that. Yeah, I think that's what it was the last time that I checked. And then you could either maintain it or you can have someone else maintain it. And I think it's like if it's a cloud-based one that you bought, you also buy like an annual renewal thing like that. So I can't remember what that cost is, but it's still minimal. Good question. Yes, sir.
A little bit of a question. When we're talking about doing maintenance, let's say you got a new TPO or PVC roof. It's brand new, just done. What kind of maintenance do you do? I mean, do you just make sure it's clean, make sure it's draining?
Yeah, great question. If you have like a brand new roof, TPO or single ply, whatever the case may be, you just got it done. It says, what kind of maintenance you're going to be doing on this thing? You go back, I always default back to the warranty first of all. They say the manufacturer says maintain it or take a look at it annually. So you just get somebody up there, do an overall assessment, and says, okay, everything looks great. You document it, et cetera, you're golden. That's what you should do. Then second year, you go up there, everything's golden. Let's say the fifth year you go up there. Oh, well, something's starting to happen here. Now you've documented it. You still got your warranty valid, and now you know you have a little minor repair to maintain. That's the process.
Within the first couple of years, we usually see like fasteners start backing out. There's a lot of thermal movement that the roof is not used to. Sometimes the seams will come unglued. So those are some of the key areas you may want to look into.
And remember, one thing we do, I would suggest as well, and typically it happens when you're getting your roof replacements and things done, you always have warranties. You got, the installation warranty, workmanship warranty, you have that from the roofing contractor. You can tell them how many years you want that. You can say 2 years. When I first started in the industry, it was like 2 years. Now I see on average now it's been 5 years. You hold them 5 years, so they come out, they do it for you. They look at it, and then after 5 years, your guys start looking at it, right? So those things you put in there. That way you make sure you maintain that warranty that way as well. Yes, sir.
What about the IR scans with drones as opposed to boots on the roof? Can you tell me about that?
Great. That's a great question. I love that. I'm actually a drone pilot, and we do that. I have a presentation all on just that. I definitely recommend that because you have multiple facilities and everything. Again, you're trying to save money, and a drone will do that for you so economically. That's the way to go. Yep, exactly. Safety as well. I definitely recommend that because and you get your data so quickly now. And it does the same as if you were doing a walkthrough, but you get it so much faster. You're welcome. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. Thank you for attending.